Before we go any further, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon, because without their help, none of this upgraded content that you'd be seeing would be possible. Over on the Patreon, you get exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming videos. You also get access to the Patreon only Discord server. Coming up soon, I'm going to be working on talking about other anime that I can't talk about here on YouTube, like say Re:Zero, Konosuba, and etc. I'm also going to start posting the scripts for video essays, and every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul. We also are going to open up the Patreon only Discord server to YouTube members at the $2 price tier, which also means that members will be seeing their name here alongside the patron. But with that being said, let's get back into today's video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, episode 261. And now that episode 261 is done in the books, I'm gonna say a couple of things right off the top. I thought it was kind of interesting that this episode right here, if I'm not mistaken, we got a couple of really good names returning to the Boruto anime right now. We have Matsuda as well as Ichiro Uno. If I'm not mistaken, both of them participated in this episode, so that was a huge surprise watching this episode. The episode itself, there were a couple of callbacks to what you saw in Boruto episode number 1, like when you had the ending sequence where you have the outro playing and the outro's playing over animation sequences that are still ongoing, continuing the story. That was a nice touch right there. I thought that was a very beautiful way to end this episode, just the whole build up towards what's going on with that princess at Kawaki's garden, the princess named Yukiwari Kai, and Himawari learning the truth about Kawaki in terms of Kawaki doing all of this as a part of a mission. There were some really good Himawari moments in this episode. I'm gonna say it right now, I went into this one with low expectations that actually came out of the episode actually enjoying it a little bit. Like, I was not a fan of Boruto's Academy arc, but I do think that just based off of this starting episode right here, I think this has potential to actually be better than Boruto's Academy arc, because I fell asleep watching some of those Academy episodes. So that's a low bar to clear, but I definitely think that this is something that could potentially work. So backing things up a little bit, the episode opens up with Naruto winking at Kawaki after he gives his speech, and Kawaki gets super flustered, and essentially Kawaki has gone into the Hidden Leaf Village's academy in order to protect this princess at the request of Naruto. We learned this princess Yukiwari Kai has essentially been targeted for assassination, and her father has sent her to the Hidden Leaf Village in order to be protected. She's going to be attending the academy, and Kawaki's going to be guarding her until the assassin has been dealt with. And Kawaki immediately asks, like, why do I have to go to the academy? Why can't you send somebody else? And Naruto reveals to him, you're not as well known within the village as Boruto, so I can't send Boruto there to watch over her. And when I heard that, my first thought was, well, can't Boruto just use a transformation jutsu the entire time that he's there in the academy? But thinking about that, all it would take is one moment for Boruto to have a lapse in concentration. The transformation jutsu would kind of come undone. So I can kind of see why they wouldn't do that when it'd be a lot easier to send Kawaki there. And I like how we get signs in this episode that they're clearly setting up for that big reveal that happens in the manga and the code arc, because you see Kawaki completely obsessed with Naruto at moments in this episode. And one of the people in the episode, one of the students even points out, like, yo, this guy is really obsessed with the 7th Hokage. And I thought that that was a very clever wink towards the manga readers right there. I thought that that was very nice to see that. And what I found interesting was the fact that, you know, Naruto, you can tell he wants Kawaki so badly to go into the academy and work on being able to get along with others and kind of pick up some of those experiences that will be needed to better flesh Kawaki out as a character. Because so far, like, he's interacted, but it's been in controlled situations. This is still somewhat controlled, but this is more of an organic situation right here. And I'll say this much, I'll probably say this is a unpopular opinion, but when we got introduced to the teacher Hana, I was not a fan of her. You guys know I'm not a fan of wallflower characters. I absolutely hate them. And this like low speaking, like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sure, and she's twiddling her thumbs and all this, I don't like her. her. She can just go jump off a fucking bridge. I don't like her. But I will say I did think that it was interesting that you see the contrast, because whereas she is very soft-spoken and, you know, she doesn't have a lot of confidence, and Anko's there holding her hand for a little bit, you see how the students that introduce themselves, they just got a lot of personality. You got the one kid from the Fuma clan where he's got some real big balls in the sense that he's bragging. He's like, yo, my dad works at the police station, but my dad's also a special Jonin. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. Your dad's a special Jonin. That means he's a peg below all the other Jonin, because that just means he's really good at one thing, but he's not good enough to be a Jonin. But special Jonin means that, like, more than likely you could go up against the Sound Force. So his dad, it ain't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, that means he's in the same category as people like Genma, but the whole thing of like, I'm part of the Fuma clan and I'm gonna live up to their legacy, that was nice in terms of just the chip on the shoulder that you see from him. Even though I didn't particularly care for his character, the way that he's written, if you like Kawaki, you're not supposed to care for this character because this dude's a total simp. But I did think that that was kind of interesting that you see how Yukiwari Kai is becoming very interesting in Kawaki, and you have this dude from the Fuma clan who's an absolute simp. And if you read the manga, you know why that's so funny, because it's like Kawaki has somebody that is interested in him that Kawaki has no real interest in, and you got a simp that absolutely hates Kawaki, and in the manga you got somebody that's very interested in Kawaki, and you got a simp who is very upset that this person likes Kawaki. So I thought that was a very nice nod right there. Like, I cannot wait until they introduce Ada in the anime, man. Like, I cannot wait for that. Like, that's gonna be so funny. But I kind of like to test the waters right here. Now, moving on a little bit, there were a few other Easter eggs in this episode. Like, you got the one girl from the Inuzuka clan, which you can tell she's from the Inuzuka clan because she's got the dog with her and she's got the little markings on her face, and it looks like she's got some type of a husky dog. So I thought it was nice to see that. That's obviously some other person in the clan that's not gonna be Kiba's kid. I know a lot of people have still got in their head that Kiba's got a kid in Boruto. Tamaki and Kiba don't have kids. And if you're curious about the official reason for why that is, I did a whole video breaking that down. But I will say, I did think it was interesting that between Kai and Kawaki, you definitely see if they're building something for those two characters, and just based off of the episode spoilers and summaries, their relationship's gonna be key. Kawaki has a moment where you can tell he's looking like, yo, this looks like it's a facade. And we find out later in the episode that everything we've seen with Yukiwari Kai is basically a facade. She's keeping up those appearances simply for the fact that she's a princess, and there's a lot of expectations for it. And there are moments in the episode where you can tell that she's been watching Kawaki and she wants to speak to him, but because of her standing, her political standing, it doesn't look good for her to kind of interact with him. And so I thought that that was kind of interesting because you can tell there was a connection there. And what I like is that they do all this build up between Kawaki and the kid from the Fuma clan where they're kind of going back and forth. And you have this moment where they're going through their training montage and the dude's like, yo, Yukiwari, did you see me? And Kai just looks over at him and she says like, yeah, that's so nice. She was talking to Himawari the entire time. She wasn't paying this dude any attention. And what I found very interesting is that, like, when Kai does turn around and look, she watches as this dude from the Fuma clan, he's trying to get the drop on Kawaki, and he basically beats himself up because Kawaki tells him like, dude, I do not fight people who are weaker than me. And I said it when we got the episode spoilers a few days ago. If I do not see bully Kawaki, I'm going to be very disappointed. Well, in this episode right here, we saw bully Kawaki indirectly, because while he didn't just like rub the dude's face in the dirt or anything, what this dude did was kept his hands in his pocket and he kept dodging all the attacks and letting the dude damage himself to a point where he's got to go to the infirmary, and he got embarrassed in front of Kai. And I thought it was interesting to see that. Now, the other interesting thing though is that in this episode, we see more of Himawari's character. And what I like about that is that she's just showing that stubborn nature that she got from her father Naruto. But we also see that, you know, she's getting along with everybody and she's going up to Kawaki and she's like, you know, you're very interested in Kai, and if you want to make friends with her, you need to talk to her about the things that she likes. And so that gets Kawaki to a point where he goes to buy a romance novel because Yukiwari Kai loves to read romance novels. And you see Kawaki trying to break the ice in this way, but I like how in this episode it continues what we saw in the other episodes where Himawari was going into the academy and kind of doing the entrance training stuff and getting an idea of whether or not she wanted to be in there. We see that she's very observant, she's very assertive, she's got more sides to her personality. You see some of the stubbornness that we normally associate with her father. That's probably one thing that definitely works right here. And you have this moment where when Kawaki finally does get some alone time with Yukiwari Kai, the two of them, they just got a whole vibe going where Kawaki's like, look, you know, I know that you're kind of acting a little weird or whatnot. You call me a weirdo. I don't really care. I'm just trying to get cool with you. And then you got Kawaki getting her to kind of open up, and she's revealing that this is how she truly is and this is the personality. And you see the two of them really establish a vibe. And then that's when the dude from the Fuma clan just shows up and he's like, man, I can't believe you got it here in this shady place. And Kawaki kind of takes the stance of like, dude, if you don't sit down somewhere before you hurt yourself. And that's when the dude summons this huge summoning creature. It shoots out the scroll and goes towards Kawaki. Kawaki jumps out of the way. He protects Yukiwari, which kind of feeds that whole concept of like the princess in the castle, got to protect her. I thought it was kind of clever how they did that one. Kawaki one-shots the summoning animal. A little anticlimactic, but still kind of nice to see that a little bit right there. And, you know, this just further done to kind of let Yukiwari know like, hey, this is somebody that isn't like all the other students that you got in the classroom. So I thought it was kind of cool to see that. And when she goes home and she's reading the book that Kawaki got her, you can tell that, you know, Kawaki's left one hell of an impression on her. But most importantly, we get introduced to who I believe is probably going to be one of the people trying to kill her. I don't trust that guard that we saw right there that was personally attending to her. Very sus right there, but I thought it was kind of interesting to kind of drop that in there. Again, just ending the episode off with the outro music playing, and you got all the extra scenes on there and the dialogue between Naruto and Kawaki. Thought it was a nice touch. Again, it's a nice mirror to the first episode in the series where you had that same thing going on, if I'm not mistaken, with Boruto after he crashes the thunder train into Naruto's Hokage face. So kind of nice to see that. But I mean, overall, if I had to give this one a 1 to 10 grade, I give this one a 7. It's a good episode. It's not great, it's good. What I want to know from you guys is, what do you guys think about Ninja Academy Kawaki and Himawari? Which character stood out the most to you? And just based off this first episode, do you like what we got here better, or do you like the first couple episodes of Boruto's Academy arc?